Sydney Sweeney in a nun outfit? Sign me up any day of the week. Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Today I will be talking about the horror film called Immaculate. It was directed by Mohan, and he's done one other film I've seen before called The Voyeurs. It stars Álvaro Morte, Sydney Sweeney, Dora Romano, and Simona Tabasco, and it's about Cecilia. She gets invited to the Italian countryside, and she's invited to this convent, and as she stays there longer at this convent, there's a lot of dark and twisted secrets that are revealed. Before I get into my thoughts, I just want to say that everything that I'm going to be talking about is from the trailers, so if you don't want to know anything about this film or you want to go into it fresh, you may want to click off this video because I'm not spoiling anything. It's all from the trailer. First off, Sydney Sweeney, how did she get into this situation? Well, she lived in Detroit and her convent closed. They invited her to this convent and she almost had a life-altering accident in which she almost died, and then she devotes her life to Christ. Now let's start off with the positives of this film. I really like the production design here and the cinematography, specifically on the outside of the convent. They did a really good job with that. Sydney Sweeney here, it is told from her perspective, and I like that little element of the film because we get to see all her feelings and what she's really going through as a person. The score itself, I felt that it was done well. I felt it was a chilling score that was very appropriate for this kind of film, elevating certain scenes of the film, and even having a little bit of artsiness in the film because it does have some artsy parts in this film, especially with the red colors. There's a couple different people that are wearing these red masks. They don't really actually capitalize on too much in the film, but they do have some weird visuals like that in the film. It's also a pretty good ending as well. I think that they could have really ended this in another way because of the way that the film is actually unraveling. However, though, the script is very superficial and very weak at points because it really borrows from key elements of other films that I saw last year, such as The Devil Conspiracy. A lot of the jump scares really build the tension in the film, but it also pads the runtime as well. It does have blood and gore, and I've heard that some people are throwing up during certain scenes. Now, I guess if you haven't seen a horror film, or you don't really go to horror films very often, or maybe you have a weak stomach, then yeah, you may throw up during certain scenes of this film, but I don't really think it's really doing anything different that you haven't seen in the horror genre itself. Now let's talk about Sydney Sweeney's performance because she is the main character here and the main focus. Now I think Sydney Sweeney's performance here, it's good. It's not great. I think there are times in this film where she really elevates the role and really takes it on as her own, but I do think at times she's mumbling through her lines. I did notice a couple times where she was mumbling. Now, I don't know if that's an audio issue, but it seemed like it was from her acting ability. I think she's one of those actresses that's really trying to branch out, which I really respect her for doing stuff like that, but I think that she really isn't a top actress yet, and I think she's really just starting to scratch the surface. She has a really big filmography, but a lot of the stuff that she's been in has been like little small TV shows, shorts. She really hasn't been in a lot of movies, so she's really just starting to scratch the surface in the film world. I was disappointed that we really didn't explore the culture of the convent, and outside of Sydney Sweeney, we don't really dive into a lot of other characters. She only has a couple interactions, specifically with the higher-ups in the church, a couple other nuns as well. She has one positive interaction with one of the nuns and then a negative interaction with one of the other nuns, but we don't really explore any of those characters. It's a little bit disappointing that they don't actually do that, and if you've seen the trailer for this film, you've seen a lot of what it has to offer. Obviously, we know that Sydney Sweeney, she gets pregnant. We also know that there's weird things going on and the convent isn't exactly quite right. So we know all that up front. It's just a matter of when and where is that going to actually happen and what moment of the film, because this is a slow burn film and it unravels itself obviously very slowly. It has different little artsy parts that it throws in between that makes it kind of weird, and when it actually amps up to certain acts that are actually going on at this convent, I think it does a pretty good job of actually elevating that. However, I wish that we got a little bit more within the convent, because it feels like a lot of these characters, they're very one note, one dimensional, and it's really hard to really get into anybody else in this film because Sydney Sweeney really is just the main focus. And while that's good that we really get a lot of her perspective, it holds the film back from really reaching full potential. Overall, I would give a score of this film a 2.5 out of 5. It's a good performance by Sydney Sweeney, not a great one. Its trailer really limits what it has to really offer as a film. However, I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And if you haven't checked it out in theaters, are you going to check it when it comes home to streaming, or are you going to skip it altogether? Leave any and all comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.